This stretching sequence is about 8 to 10 minutes long and wonderful to utilize with private clients. Starting with the student on their back in Shavasana, have a small bolster nearby or a rolled up blanket. Straddle their lower legs and then scoop under both knees while you use your other hand to slide a small bolster underneath. Secure their legs and ensure that the bolster is comfortably behind the knees. Let's start on the right side first and starting with the right leg. Come into a lunge with your left leg forward. Scoop underneath of the calf and the heel so you're secure. As you circle through the hip, stirring up the hip with that femur bone. And then reverse direction. If you watch my body mechanics, I'm coming in and out of a lunge with my left knee that's supportive of my back. Once you've done that 3 times, scoot your legs in if they're very flexible, bend their knee into their chest, and secure their foot in your lower belly. Hold their right shin with your left hand, and also your left shin is there to also support that leg from splaying out. Your right hand is still grounding their left thigh. And then when you're ready, extend through that right leg, holding behind their heel and tracking upwards so they feel that continuous stretch. When you're ready, open your left leg out to the side a little bit more so they have space for their leg to open out. Grounding again through their left thigh. Shin is still in contact with the back of their leg, holding it in place. And then the next movement is probably the trickiest transition, so watch carefully. I'll first of all switch where my legs are. I'm going to put my left knee down and then step my right leg over and then switch hands as well. And then go ahead and straighten the leg, holding the front of the thigh with the right hand, and then taking your left hand to keep her hips on the ground. We don't want that right hip lifting yet. But we're going to go into a full twist, so we want to make sure we've got room to do so. So open the arms, make sure they're out of the way, and then we'll bend their knee, wrapping their calf around the front of our shin, and then scooting in our left knee all the way up to be right connected with their sacrum. This way their hips won't fall backwards. Everything's in place. Then this frees up our hands to go onto the shoulders to ground them as they stay in this twist. Take one hand, track their top hip away from their rib cage. And then with your fingers together, take one hand underneath the right hand and then the left hand on their top rib cage. Advise them to inhale. And as they exhale, deepen the twist by wrapping the rib cage further to the right. And then you can ask them to also turn their head to the right so that the cervical spine is a part of that twist. Placing your left hand on their right shoulder, grab their knee with your right hand, stepping back out, so guiding them the whole way. And then placing their foot on the bolster, place your knees on either side of the foot and make sure that's secure so you don't get kicked. And then interlace your hands in front of their thigh as you lean back using your core. And then take your fingertips together behind their calves and gently press them into the calf as you lean back. The calf can be way more sensitive, so check in with them. And then from here, we're going to extend the leg back out. So sit to the side, support it the entire way, hand underneath the knee until it rests on the bolster. And then we'll step to the other side. You'll see this from the other angle, which will be helpful. Scooping underneath of their left knee with your right hand, step your right leg forward and begin circling in the hip, stirring that femur in the hip socket, bending your knee, and then reversing, bending and straightening, supporting your back. And then when you're ready, bend their knee right into their chest. You can scooch up a little further onto that bolster and keeping their left leg in place with your right shin. Put their left foot in your belly and lean forward. Now Rachel is very flexible here, so you might not go as deeply. Grounding through their right thigh with your left hand. And then as we're ready to extend the leg, you can also put a little compression even here. This is a great idea. Into the back of the hamstring, which feels really nice as you're straightening that leg. Now we'll open leg out to the side and open your toes, securing in place with your front shin, guiding that femur bone out just a little bit more. And advising them to breathe. And then here's the tricky transition. We'll place the right knee down and then step the left leg across as we switch hands. Now wrap the left arm around the leg and secure that thigh to keep the leg straight. Your right thumb will go into their hip crease and root that left hip down, taking the leg across the body for the IT stretch. And it's easier to see on this side what I'm doing with my right hand. I'm guiding the outer hip back towards me, which lengthens that side waist, and then pressing the hand into the outside of the hip, rooting it toward the floor. And when you're ready to bend the knee, wrap it around your left shin and come into that twist. Now, sometimes the bolster isn't comfortable underneath their knee, so we'll see what it looks like without it on this side. Bring your right knee up to go right behind their sacrum to keep the hips in place as you ground their shoulder. And their head is now turning to face their left hand. We'll track the top hip with the hands, tracking away from their rib cage, lengthening that side waist. Now take your left hand underneath their rib cage, and then the right hand, notice which direction my fingertips are pointing, towards my other arm on the top. Have them inhale, and then as they exhale, twist them more deeply. Now watch what happens if I don't have my knee right next to those hips. Do you see how they unwind? That's why we keep the knee right up next to the sacrum. As we exhale and go more deeply in the twist, the hips stay in place. Grounding through the arms. And then when we're ready, grab with both hands to carry the leg back forward. We can place the bolster underneath. It's a little bit trickier with just that one hand. And then we'll bring the other leg down so the foot is on the bolster. Secure the foot with your knees. And then interlace your fingers around their thigh as you lean back. You might do that a couple times. It feels really nice on the front of the hip. And then the fingertips behind the calves as you lean back. Shoulders are soft, so you're not tensing in your back. Using weight. And then carrying that leg mindfully down so that that knee lands gracefully on the bolster. Now from here, bending our knees, we're going to bend their knees, protect our back as always. And then we'll walk in, securing our knees on their outer shins to hug their legs, freeing up our arms to ground down through the shoulders. And then bringing the hands back to their knees, walking back a little bit to give yourself some space. And then you can circle the knees around one way and then the other. This gives a nice massage to the sacrum. And then walk your feet in a little bit more, pressing the palms on top of the kneecaps, pressing straight down towards the floor, giving compression to the sacral area. You can circle around here a little bit more in one direction and then the other. And then watch how the knees now are controlling her legs, which frees up my hands to ground her shoulders. Then walk back, scoop underneath her knees. Bend your knees to protect your back using your belly. Keep the knees close together to prevent her shins from kicking upwards. And sit back in a chair, wobbling the hips left and right. It's a great release for the lower back. And then walking out, holding behind the calves, position the bolster where it's going to be underneath of the knees, pulling straight out, rocking the legs side to side, and then landing those knees right on top of the bolster. Maybe giving a couple squeezes to the feet or holding behind the heels for a grounding sensation. Slide down the legs from the knees all the way to the ankles to ground, and pausing here at the feet. These little touches can be so relaxing for the student. And then going around to the head, taking a hold of their forearms, bringing them towards each other, and then externally rotating the shoulders, so that means bringing the elbows towards each other, and then tracking back, listening to their shoulder flexibility. Notice I'm holding onto the forearms, not the wrist or the hands. That can feel not so great for the wrists. And then I'm stepping my foot forward to bring the arms forward and lay them down, palms facing upwards. Notice that the heels of my hands now are going right into that little crevice, and I have my shoulders over the wrists to ground down, and then I'm walking out down their arms to ground down, which feels really nice and relaxing. Again, check out the body mechanics of my foot forward to protect my back. And from here, I'll scoot a little closer, and then taking the pads of my fingers facing upwards, and together, I'll track up her neck on either side of her cervical spine gently, and then stopping at the base of her skull. This traction feels so good for the student, and you can even press a fingertip or both fingertips into, you can see where this is on her. At the very top of the neck, there's a notch that is where the neck connects with the skull. You'll feel it. Press your fingertips underneath of there, and you can add a little bit more pressure. Then we bring the hands up to draw with the thumbs up the third eye. And then pressing the thumbs into the skull in a line down to the top of the head. You can also squeeze into the skull with the fingertips. From here, we're going to pull one hand behind the head and the other hand, notice how high the fingertips are, tracking the heel of our hands on their sternum. This creates a beautiful traction and opposition in the body and is incredibly relaxing. After this, we can take hold underneath the neck again, scoop our forearm underneath, which catches her head on the forearm, placing one hand on the shoulder and then reaching under, other hand on the other shoulder, reminding them to breathe as we slowly lift the head up. Notice I'm using my abdominals to keep my back nice and straight, and then slowly lowering. Coming up again, but now at a diagonal, feeling a different stretch in the neck. Being very mindful to go very slowly here. If we do any quick movements, it can be very unsettling when we're handling somebody else's head. Now slowly, mindfully bringing the head down, carefully holding from the back of the skull, guiding it down. You need to practice that a few times just to get the hang of it. It's a little bit of a coordination. To finish, we'll ground the shoulders one more time, and then return the hands to the head, sending a grounded, peaceful energy to the student. Great work.